Well, welcome. Ed Downs here, representing Fulgent Technologies, LLC, bringing AI to traders around the world. Now today, we're going to explore the exciting new chart pattern engine for MetaStock. CPE is based on over 15 years of chart pattern development at Nirvana Systems, and I am thrilled to bring this technology to all traders and investors who are using the powerful MetaStock platform. So, what is a pattern? Well, chart patterns are formed in charts that indicate the psychology of the current market, but they also determine the behavior of the market. To illustrate this, let's look at a chart of Apple Computer and see what we can find going from left to right in the chart. The first thing we notice right away is a very large increase in volume right here from the average volume while the chart is rapidly declining. What this means is that the buying and selling pressure is drying up as soon as the volume starts to recede. If the chart goes up at the same time, it takes very little pressure to propel it upward. That's what we call a volume climax. Going to the next one, we see another volume climax right here where the chart descends rapidly, forms a bottom, volume backs off, and the chart goes up. We also see a gap right here, which we would call a breakaway gap. And immediately after the breakaway gap, we have a trend line break to the upside, all very bullish signs of upward movement to come. Next, we have a break of a support resistance line. Actually, that is just resistance. And following it is a gap on increased volume. So we again call that a breakaway gap. Rising in the chart to this area here, we see what we call a broadening top consolidation. This is a very bearish pattern, especially if it breaks to the downside with force, which it does right there with a breakaway gap to the downside. And if we look at this, we can see another gap in the middle, and this is called a measured gap because it is in the middle of the move. We always want to try to find those. And we also notice that volume is dramatically increasing in that decline. We get to the bottom of the chart and we see volume decreasing just as this gap has occurred. So we call that an exhaustion gap. So the gap occurs, volume's decreasing, the chart is continuing up. That is a bullish pattern. Next we see a break of short-term resistance and a gap on additional volume at the bottom, followed by what we call an upward sloping consolidation, and there's a solid break there of the right side of that pattern. Continuing up, we find another gap right here, and that is on increased volume in that gap, which indicates the likely exhaustion of the move, and we can tell as soon as price begins to recede back into the gap and go down, and we really know it when it passes through that trend line right there and picks up speed. Finally, there's a measure gap in the middle of this move, indicating more downward motion as the chart continues in the same direction. So I think you can see from these examples that a formation in the chart is followed by movement, and that movement then is picked up on by the market as it accelerates the chart in the direction of the psychological pattern. This happens over and over and over in all freely traded markets. Back in 1998, I wrote a little book called The 7 Chart Patterns That Consistently Make Money. And over the years, I have discovered that it is these 7 primary patterns that are the most indicative of the current psychology of the market and the follow-through that the market observes once the patterns are identified and acted upon. There are 3 additional patterns that we'll mention that are essentially derivatives of these 7. The Chart Pattern Engine supports all 12 base patterns that we just discussed, including trendline breaks and reversals, support resistance breaks and reversals, consolidations, volume climax and trend, Fibonacci retracements, gaps of all kinds, saucers, and the 3 additional patterns, tops and bottoms, cup and handle, and head and shoulders. These powerful chart patterns will enable you to find explosive moves in the market every single day. And the best thing about Fulgent Chart Pattern Engine is it is so easy to use. Just go into MetaStock and you can find the Fulgent AI menu integrated right in the software under Fulgent AI on the Tools menu. Within the Fulgent application, I will see any other Fulgent AI products that I may have installed. I'm going to simply select the Chart Pattern Engine, and now I can see all 12 chart patterns. I just turn on the one or ones that I want to use, and we'll turn on a couple here. Click OK, close, and refresh the chart, and within seconds, all of the patterns that it sees are displayed. I can also view the commentary so that I'm able to find out about each pattern. For example, I'll click right after this gap pattern, and it tells you that it is a gap, how many bars it started to go, and then there's information about typical interpretation and trading of that particular pattern. Every pattern in here has exactly the same thing. Here's a trend line break. That's documented the same way. By the way, you'll notice in this chart that pretty much all the patterns that we just talked about are called out, including the gaps and trend line breaks. Let's go ahead and open all the patterns. I just click Tools, Fulgent AI, Chart Pattern Engine, and then Enable All. And that's as easy as it is. Once I do that, I can refresh the chart, and all of the patterns that Fulgent is looking for, the Chart Pattern Engine, are going to be displayed for me. Let's go back in the chart a little ways and zoom in so I can show you what this color coding is. You'll notice that where each pattern is firing, there's a color ahead of it. That's essentially showing you where the bars were that formed that pattern. So for this consolidation, the bars were here, saucer pattern are these pink bars, a gap, these two blue bars. Of course, I can click these as I go here to see the expert commentary. Here's a support resistance break, which is formed over those bars right there. And if I look to the left of the chart, I'll find that other support level. And then there's another one here. We have a trend line break. It's interesting to note on this that that trend line it's detecting is all across there like that. And we can't draw in the chart, but we can certainly very quickly see which bars that's forming over. So that was a little premature. It breaks again here, and that's the actual break that we're going to trade. Here's a gap denoted by that blue bar. Consolidation is all of these bars right here to the left of that. Trend line break, and so on. So with this color coding, you can easily see where the pattern came from and then look at it and determine where the lines should be drawn. Now, one thing I want to mention is that all of these colors can be changed by editing the Expert Advisor. Now, one of the really great things about MetaStock is its Explorer feature. Using the Explorer with CPE, you can find any and all patterns that are firing on today's data on your list. And it's even better than that, because CPE is so fast, you can use it every day to scan the entire market for chart pattern candidates on the right edge. Let's go ahead and bring up the Explorer and identify the Fulgent scan for chart patterns. And you'll notice when I go to it here, there are actually a number of scans, because we give you the base scan and then also individual scans in case you want to find just one pattern. We're going to run the basic one here, and I'm going to go down and find the constituents. I've got the Dow selected, and I will also select the S&P 100 and 500. That's over 600 stocks. Let's start the exploration. And immediately you can see it's already through about 100 symbols. In the time it takes me to summarize what's happening, you're going to have a scan over the entire S&P 500, S&P 100, and Dow 30. So while this is going on, the application, MetaStock I should say, is passing data for all of these charts over to Fulgent Chart Pattern Engine so that it can look for all of the patterns that are activated, which in our case is all of them. It's now nearing the end of the run, and when it finishes, we're going to see those found patterns below in the exploration. It's done. Okay. If we go over here, we can find the new in-long trades by sorting on that column. I've got quite a few of them here. It also tells you on this general scan which pattern is firing. All of them are numbered individually, so it's very easy to determine, what that relates to. I happen to know that that's a trend line break right there. You also can see recent signals. This is very important because sometimes patterns will form and they not quite ready for the chart to move yet, and we actually keep them active for 3 bars after the pattern signal fires. So you can go back and look at them, and often you'll see a trend line break, a support resistance break that has matured and is really taking off if you look at it 2, 3, or 4 bars later. So that's in your bars column right here. It's a full featured system, able to find all of the 12 patterns, 12 base patterns that we look for in one scan, and then you can go prospect the charts from there. CPE also works on real-time data as well as futures, forex, indexes in any time frame. As an example, here is a 60-minute chart of the forex euro Japanese yen, and you can see the number of amazing reversal and trend following signals that fire. Here's a cup and handle right here. And one of the things about chart patterns is that there is a psychology to each one. What we're doing with Fulgent Chart Pattern Engine is finding the pattern for you and then educating you on our website about which ones have the most power and what to look for, including volume confirmation and that sort of thing. So you will see a lot of signals in Fulgent, a lot of opportunities as you scan the market every day, and the education you need to find and trade the patterns that have the greatest probability for success. That's the Chart Pattern Engine for MetaStock, helping you harness the power of chart pattern recognition in the platform that you use for trading every day. Again, this is Ed Downs for Fulgent Technologies. Thanks for watching, and take care.